Welcome to WWII, What If? Today we investigate the ultimate German military gamble of 1941. What if Operation Barbarossa was stripped of its southern wing, focusing all Wehrmacht forces on Leningrad and Moscow? By bypassing Ukraine, Germany sought a lightning victory, but sowed the seeds of its own destruction. In late 1940, Franz Halder and the German Army High Command argued that Moscow was the decisive center of gravity. They believed that capturing the capital would sever Soviet communications, paralyze the Red Army's mobilization, and force a decisive battle of annihilation that would win the war in the East. Adolf Hitler vehemently disagreed with his traditionalist generals. He dismissed Moscow as a geographical concept, prioritizing the agricultural wealth of Ukraine and the oil fields of the Caucasus. Hitler believed Germany could not survive a long war without seizing these resources, forcing a compromise that split the German forces. Our counterfactual imagines the German High Command pushing the OKH plan to its absolute extreme. In June 1941, the Wehrmacht launches Barbarossa with only 2 active wings in the north and center, while staying strictly defensive in the south. This concentrated strategy aimed to capture Moscow and Leningrad before winter. This strategic shift enables a massive reallocation of forces. General Ewald von Kleistâ's elite 1st Panzer Group, historically sent to Ukraine, is redirected north to support Army Group North. This leaves the southern front to secondary infantry divisions and Romanian allies, while creating an unstoppable armoured fist in the Baltic. With 2 full panzer groups under its command, Army Group North achieves spectacular initial victories. The Soviet Baltic defences are shattered within 72 hours. German armoured columns drive through Lithuania and Latvia at a blistering pace, bypassing the costly and time-consuming siege actions that historically delayed their advance. Field Marshal Wilhelm von Lieb coordinates the double-armoured thrust. Backed by Wolfram von Richthofen's close air support, the German forces slice through the Luga defensive line before the Red Army can fully man it. By early August, German panzers reach the outskirts of Leningrad, sealing the city's fate. The rapid breakthrough at Luga prevents the Soviet defenders from organizing an effective defense. Leningrad's civilian volunteers are overwhelmed by the sheer concentration of German armor. The Red Army's northwestern front collapses, and the city of Lenin is completely isolated from the rest of the Soviet Union. German and Finnish troops link up on the southern shores of Lake Ladoga. The encirclement of Leningrad is absolute. With its land connection severed and Lake Ladoga secured, the city is choked of all food and military supplies, months ahead of the historical timeline, freeing up valuable German forces. The isolation of Leningrad dooms the Soviet Baltic fleet. Trapped in the Gulf of Finland and stripped of their harbour defences, the warships are subjected to relentless Luftwaffe bombardment. The heavy naval guns that historically defended the city are silenced, completing Germany's mastery over the Baltic coast. Finnish forces push south to the Svea River, cutting the vital Murmansk railway. This action permanently disrupts the northern Lend-Lease route, preventing early Anglo-American supplies from reaching the Soviet interior. With the northern sector secured, Lieb transfers Hepner's 4th Panzer Group south for the final push on Moscow. With Leningrad isolated and the Baltic cleared, the Wehrmacht frees up dozens of infantry divisions and an entire Panzer Group. This massive force is loaded onto transport trains and rushed to reinforce Army Group Center, setting the stage for a concentrated, decisive offensive against the Soviet capital. On the central axis, Field Marshal Fedor von Bock's Army Group Center does not suffer the strategic pause of August 1941. Historically, Hitler halted Bock's advance to divert Guderian's panzers to Kiev. In our counterfactual, Guderian remains focused on Moscow, driving forward without delay. Guderian's 2nd Panzer Group and Hoth's 3rd Panzer Group drive straight toward the Vyazma and Bryansk defensive pockets. They are quickly joined by Hepner's 4th Panzer Group from the north. This represents the largest concentration of armoured forces in military history, directed at a single strategic objective. Operation Typhoon is launched in mid-August instead of late September. The dry, warm weather of the Russian summer provides optimal conditions for the German panzers and the Luftwaffe. The Red Army, struggling to rebuild its defences, faces 3 fully strength panzer groups operating in perfect weather. By attacking in August, the Wehrmacht completely bypasses the dreaded Rasputitsa mud season. Historically, the autumn rains of October turned Russian roads into swamps, halting the German advance and consuming vital fuel. In this timeline, the dry plains allow German armour to maintain maximum speed. German lookouts spot the spires of the Kremlin through binoculars in early September. The Soviet capital is virtually undefended by regular troops, as the elite Siberian divisions are still in transit from the Far East. The fall of Moscow seems inevitable, promising a swift end to the war. But while German flags prepare to fly over Moscow, a catastrophic danger is brewing in the south. By staying defensive in Ukraine, the Germans left the Soviet southwestern front completely intact. This massive force, commanded by General Mikhail Kirponos, boasts over 6 field armies and thousands of modern tanks. As Army Group Center drives 600 miles deep into Russia to reach Moscow, it creates an enormous, unprotected southern flank. This right flank, stretching along the Pripyat marshes, is defended only by weak security divisions. Kirponos's intact field armies are positioned perfectly to strike. Stavka orders a massive northern counteroffensive. Emerging from the Pripyat marshes, Kirponos's heavy tank columns slam into the exposed rear of Army Group Center. Soviet T-34s and KV-1s cut through the German security lines, threatening to sever the primary supply arteries of Bok's advancing armies. The logistical impact is catastrophic. The vital Warsaw-Minsk-Smolensk railway is severed, cutting off Guderian's panzers from their fuel and ammunition depots. Instead of capturing Moscow, Army Group Center is forced to halt, turn around, and fight desperate defensive battles to clear its own supply lines. Concurrently, Germany's critical economic vulnerability is exposed. Romania's Ploiești oil fields, which supply 60% of the Wehrmacht's fuel, are located right on the unattacked southern border. By remaining defensive in the south, Germany leaves these vital refineries within easy range of Soviet retaliation. The Soviet Southern Front and the Black Sea Fleet launch devastating, coordinated air and naval attacks against Ploiești. Long-range bombers flying from Bessarabia reduce the oil refineries to burning ruins. Deprived of Romanian oil, the Luftwaffe is grounded and the panzers run out of fuel within weeks. The north and center-only plan proves to be a fatal strategic blunder. While it offered the illusion of a quick victory at Leningrad and Moscow, it bypassed Ukraine's massive army and exposed Germany's oil supply. In 1941, the Wehrmacht learned that ignoring the south meant absolute, irreversible defeat.